Hello everyone and welcome to another Game Mechanics Monday on Merlin's Manor. Now, a set of game mechanics that has become very popular lately is the verb and write style games. Now, the main mechanics of those being roll and write games and flip and write games. There are others, but these are the ones I'm going to be focusing on in this video. The roll and write and the flip and writes. Now, what is a roll and write game? It's quite simply where you take dice and you roll them and you write something down. The most famous classic game that uses this mechanic that most people will have heard of is Yahtzee. In Yahtzee, you're rolling 5 dice and you can re-roll up to 3 times while selecting to keep some of those dice. And then after that third roll, or when you decide to stop, you'll write down your score in one of various different categories there. Now, while I enjoyed Yahtzee quite a bit as a kid, there are quite a few games that have come out which implement this mechanic way better. And most of the modern competitive roll and writes that have everyone working with the same dice, so there's not this issue of each person having different opportunities. So it's more of how each person uses the same opportunities. Now, what is a flip and write game? It's very similar to a roll and write game, except in this case you're flipping cards over and choosing how to utilize the cards and writing something down based on the cards that you're flipping over. Now, typically, roll and writes and flip and writes are fairly inexpensive as they don't have elaborate components, and so most will run you between $10 and $35. One worry with these games is that if you play them a lot, you're going to run out of sheets, but it's not too expensive to repurchase the entire game even, so that's not a big deal. Sometimes publishers provide ways to print out new sheets, or you can even improvise your own. Sometimes they come out with standalone expansion sheets that you can buy those also, and they add to the experience with additional ways to play. Sometimes you can even buy the standard score sheets by themselves. Now, some people will also laminate a handful of sheets to reuse with dry erase markers. That works as well. Some publishers are even doing dry erase either originally with their games or as an additional purchase that you can make online. Now, many of these games have potentially unlimited player counts, as all you need is enough sheets for everyone to play. And turns are oftentimes done simultaneously, and so added player count doesn't add time in those games that have that simultaneous action. So there's not that much downtime, just waiting for other players to finish taking their turns if you are faster than they are. Now, many of these games can also be played remotely very easily because others can have or print out sheets, and then you just need a camera on the shared components. This has possibly been a part of why so many of these games have been produced since 2020. Now, this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I am planning on attempting to do a live stream teaching and playing Isle of Cats Explore and Draw, and I invite you to join and play along with me. In order to play along, if you don't have your own copy of the game, you can simply download or print out a sample sheet from City of Games website, and I'll leave a link down in the description below so you can go straight to that and have a sheet before this Thursday. Now let's talk about games that do this mechanic well. And the first one I want to mention is Rolling Realms. It's a roll and write game from Stonemaier Games. And here you have 3 realms each round, and it's based on the standard games of Stonemaier. And you're playing those 3 rounds, each round consisting of 9 rolls of 2 dice. Now, after the dice are rolled, you pick 2 of the 3 realms and use 1 dice in each realm. You also collect resources along the way that will allow you to manipulate things. And some resources, hearts and coins, will let you gain a 3rd dice to use in yet a 3rd realm. Plus, spending 3 pumpkins can allow you to place in a realm that you've already placed in. And if you accumulated enough resources, you could potentially add even a 4th dice, along with using the pumpkins to be able to use in a realm you've already used that realm. Each realm has a unique way that you score points, which are stars, and you get resources, and you have to figure out how to optimize those dice that have been rolled for this, while realizing you might not get to the ideal dice later on. But everyone is working again with the same dice, so you all have the same opportunities, and it comes down to who chooses most wisely. Now, there's a bit of luck as your plans may not work out with the dice, while someone else who planned differently had the dice then work in their favor. But you're all working with the same dice for better or for worse. At the end of each round, you score 1 point per star, plus 0.1 points for each unused resource. And so every 10 unused resources will add up to an additional point. It is really cool playing all the different Stonemaier realms, and each realm is designed to score in ways that relate very well to the game that they are based on. There's also a solo mode, which includes 18 games with different puzzles to solve. and they require you to score certain minimum points to succeed, and in the end, you win the campaign if you didn't fail to win too often. And each game has a par amount of failures, and it's kind of a mini golf type theme there. And there's a maximum failure amount. If you fail 4 times, you just take you write down a 5 in there and call it a day. And so you're not going to have an unlimited amount of failures there. You kind of get capped out there. And so that keeps it from being like you're playing the same one over and over and over forever. And so Rolling Realms, I highly recommend this game as a good roll and write game. The next one I want to bring up is Escape Roll and Write, which is based on a real-time game, but in this game it's not a real-time. It's a cooperative roll and write, so this is unique. It's a very lightweight game. On your turn, you roll 2 dice at a time and choose which you will keep and which you will pass on to your teammates to use on their treasure maps. You can keep both of them. You can pass both on. You keep one and pass the other. And then you're going to roll the next dice until you've rolled all the dice that you have to roll. And then the dice have these symbols on them, and you have to match the symbols to what is on your sheet in order to move around the temple as you try to collect gems. Your team has to collect a certain amount of gems based on player count and difficulty, and a certain amount of turns also based on player count, and then escape the temple by getting back to the center square of your sheet. Now, along the way, you collect various benefits via treasure maps and squares that you travel through. It includes symbols the team can use when you don't get the dice you need, free moves, re-rolls, and a way to get dice out of lockdown, which happens if you roll a cursed mask symbol. Now, the game is a quick, fun, albeit highly luck-based game. We have lost a handful of games just because we could not roll enough running people to get us back to the center on our last turn. And running people is one of the symbols that you cannot get to use later. You have to actually roll it on your turn. And if one person fails to make it to the center, then the entire team loses. The decision of which dice to keep for yourself versus which to give teammates is also a very interesting dynamic, especially since you are rolling 2 dice at a time, and you have no clue if you'll even get the dice you won in your later rolls to pull off what you're trying to do with those early rolls. And so you may keep something thinking, I'll be able to use this if I just get this symbol. But then at the end, you might as well pass it on for your teammates to use because you didn't get the dice that you needed to make it work. And so it's a very kind of interesting dynamic there of cooperating with one another and trying to get good luck in your rolls to be able to get around the temple, get the gems that you need, and get back to the center and escape in time. I really enjoyed this game and highly recommend it for a very lightweight game that pretty much anybody can play. The next one I want to talk about is Welcome To. I got Welcome to the Moon and Welcome to Your Perfect Home. These are both flip and write games. And Welcome to Your Perfect Home, you are developing a neighborhood. Each turn you flip over 3 cards and they'll be paired with the next card in the deck. One has a number on it, the other has a symbol for a benefit that you can use. You're striving to place numbers on streets in ascending order. They don't have to be consecutive, but they do need to go from lowest to highest. If you cannot place any of the numbers, you'll get negative points on the second and third time, and then the game ends if you get 3 times that you weren't able to place something. The various benefits give you points for placing pools on certain locations, trees on streets, creating subdivisions with fences, increasing values of those subdivisions, or increasing or decreasing the number that you've used, or using that round by between 0 and 2 points. You're also trying to score 3 objectives, and if you score any of them first, you get more points than those who score them later. And the game ends if a person scores all 3 objectives, or any person has filled their board completely, or as I said earlier, if a person fails 3 times to place a number on their board. And this game is a bit of a kind of point salad type game where you have a variety of different ways to score points, and you're trying to maximize the points that you score. You all have the same opportunities as you are given the same card pairings, and it comes down to who placed them best. Sometimes taking a risk and hoping it pays off. Sometimes playing it a little safer, and maybe that'll pay off for you. And since it's simultaneous gameplay, it means that if you're playing with 100 people or you're playing with just 2 people, the amount of time to play is going to be about the same amount of time. Now, Welcome to the Moon is similar with a space theme, but it offers 8 different maps which play very differently and offers a lot of replayability. It uses dry erase boards, which limits to 6 players, but means you will not run out of sheets. And I highly recommend you go over and check out my review on these 2 games that I posted last week. Next one I want to bring up is Cartographers. And this is the Cartographers Heroes version. The original version can be mixed and matched with this, or they each can be used as standalone games. And here is a flip and right game that you have 4 goal cards that you're trying to score for in 2 different seasons each. That is, 2 different rounds they're going to score. You're playing over 4 seasons. And goal A is going to score in seasons 1 and 4. Goal B is going to score in seasons 1 and 2. C in 2 and 3. And goal 4 in seasons 3 and 4. And so it's easier to visualize if you have the cards in front of you there. But basically each goal is going to score in 2 different seasons. And you're flipping cards that have Tetris-shaped pieces with terrain on them. Sometimes you have an option between 2 different terrains or 2 different shapes, with some offering a bonus coin if you take that shape over the other one because it's a smaller shape. You are creating a map by drawing in the shape and applying the terrain to it with either symbols or with colored pencils. You're trying to design the map in such a way that you are going to score points based on those goal cards. You may focus on planning ahead for future rounds or try to maximize the current round, or often ideally a delicate balance of both trying to prepare for future rounds as well as trying to score in the round you're currently in. Now sometimes monsters are going to come up that are going to get in your way, and in this case opponents are going to draw a monster on your map in a way that's going to kind of mess you up. And unfilled spaces around the monster yield negative points at the end of each round, and so you're going to want to have to try and fill those spaces next to a monster in so that you don't lose points. You can also get coins by filling in the 4 squares adjacent to a mountain or selecting certain shapes that give you points each round after you claim that coin. And so getting coins early is very beneficial because the rest of the game you're going to score points for those coins. The winner, of course, is whoever is able to score the most points over the 4 seasons. This also offers a great solo mode, which mimics the puzzle challenge to the multiplayer game. And the goal cards subtract points based on how you are expected to score with that goal card. It basically has a par that you're trying to meet with these different goal cards, and so you're going to subtract those points. And then at the end, you compare your points after subtracting points for the goal cards to a scale to see how you did. Now, Heroes offers an extra card type of heroes who can take out the monsters, as well as monsters with some extra abilities that trigger. There are also various extra maps you can buy that change things up as well. The next game I'm going to bring up is Isle of Cats. And this is a flip and write game. This game offers a more portable version of Isle of Cats with some different gameplay mixed in there. This game also lends itself very well to playing remotely via the internet. In fact, when it was on Kickstarter, I played 10 different games with people who were previewing it. And I will attempt, as I said earlier, to do an online play of this on Thursday. Now, the game plays over 7 rounds, and you're trying to fill up a boat with cats and treasures. You have 3 rows and 4 columns of cats/treasures and lessons or goal cards. Each turn, you pick a column and you draw the cats or treasures on your board and mark the lessons for scoring points at the end of the game. 3 times per game, you can do something slightly different by choosing a special action, either drawing a row instead of a column. In this case, that's going to give you 4 things to draw instead of 3. Or pick 1 from each row. And so instead of having to do one entire column, you're going to pick 1 from here, 1 from here, and 1 from here maybe. And so you have a little bit more options there. Or you can draw the same cat twice, or you can draw the same treasure twice, or you can choose 1 additional card, and so that gives you, again, 4 cards, and so it's a very good one to go with there. It has to be 3 different rounds, and you can only use the same ability once. So you're going to kind of have to plan a little bit there when you want to use those, when they're going to be most beneficial. But you don't want to wait too long because you can't use 2 in a single round. And so if you wait until you're in the last 2 rounds before you use any of them, well, you're not going to get to use but 2 instead of 3. So you kind of have to make sure you keep an eye on that. You score points much in the same way as the standard Isle of Cats. Points for families of the same color cats, points for rare treasures, points for lesson cards, as well as negative points for unfilled rooms and uncovered rats. It offers much of the same feel as Isle of Cats. It plays quicker due to simultaneous play. Offers an interesting alternate mechanic of choosing a column so you can plan out multiple cats or treasures at once. No fighting over cats because everyone takes and draws the ones they want, which can be the same ones as somebody else or something different. And then the boards are dry erase, so this can be replayed many times. So those are 5, or in the case of Welcome to the Moon, 6 games that I find do the roll and write / flip and write mechanic well. I want to bring up a few honorable mentions, a handful of games that I have heard are good and look forward to playing, but haven't tried yet, so obviously I can't personally recommend them at this time as doing the mechanic well, but I've heard they do. First of all, Explorers is a game where you are exploring a map based on cards that are flipped. And then there's a game called Fleet, the dice game, where you're building up a fleet of fishing boats, and then you go fish and you go to market to gain income. The theme itself doesn't fully appeal to me, plus it looks like it has a lot going on, heavier than most roll and writes, but I have heard good things about it. And then Three Sisters is a roll and write farm themed game. I'll probably get to this one in the future, but I have so many games right now to focus on that it's not on the top of my list right now. Plus, it looks like it's got a lot going on as well compared to the other roll and writes that I have played. I'm curious, what are some roll and write or flip and write games that you enjoy? Go ahead and leave those in the comments down below, and I'll check them out. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next video.